Hey everyone, it's Dora again, here with an MDC special series called Table Tips. In this video series, we're going to talk about some of our favorite tabletop role-playing games, or RPGs. And to start things off, we're going to cover the big one, and probably one of my personal favorites. That's right, we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D. So a little bit of history. D&D was first published back in 1974, but has gone through several evolutions, 5 to be exact, since its inception, setting the foundation for the modern RPG landscape. Today, it's one of the most well-known and widely used tabletop RPGs around the world, and has even been used in fields of education and psychology. But what is it exactly? In short, D&D is a role-playing game that uses a structured storytelling approach in a fantasy setting. So while the rule books can seem pretty daunting for new players, it's actually pretty simple. Here are the basics. As a player, you create a character through which you can explore different adventures within that fantasy setting. It's sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure story, but each character in that story is played by a different player at the table. The objective is for you to work together to solve different challenges and progress through that story, through that narrative. This could take the form of solving mysteries, battling monsters, really anything you could imagine. So the game's referee and main storyteller is called a Dungeon Master, or DM. The DM is responsible for presenting the players with a scene. They describe the environment, play the role of any non-player characters or NPCs that they might meet, and help move the story along. So, what do you need to get started? That's one of the first questions that people typically ask. So, first and foremost, you do need the Player's Handbook. This book tells you everything you need to know about creating your player character, or PC. You can choose any fantasy race you'd like, from your standard humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, to something a little bit different like orcs, dragonborn, or tieflings. We'll talk about creating characters in another episode. Next, you need dice, every RPG player's weakness. They say that there are 2 types of tabletop RPG players. The kind who have one set of special dice that they use faithfully, or you're a dice-hoarding goblin who has to refrain from buying every set that catches your eye. You can probably tell which kind of player I am. Anyway, the last thing you need, and this is probably the most important, is your imagination. So, all joking aside, D&D is, at its simplest form, an adventure story game that you create with your fellow players and the DM all around the table together. It's a fantastic way to use your imagination regardless of how old you are when you start playing. You can really tap into that creativity and create some crazy memories that you and your friends will hold on to for years to come. And that's all I've got for now. This is just the intro video, but stay tuned for the next episode where we talk about creating player characters. All right, until next time, have fun, everyone.